with all that the St. Paul, the city has to offer, and its surrounding area as well, it's had a long reputation, and some take exception to this, as being a sleepy town where they roll up the streets around 9 p.m. I never experienced that personally, but some believe that to be true. Anecdotally, in 35 years, I've been coming in and out of this town for various events. It's been great all those years. However, most would say in the last decade or so, it has gotten quieter than normal in St. Paul. We're here talking to a wide-ranging group of people who are very vested in this downtown development, the downtown district in particular, and what its future holds. One of the things that's super important is jobs in downtown St. Paul. So I want to continue our roundtable discussion to talk about jobs. It's one of those things that if you get the jobs, then some of the other things follow. If we're talking about visitors and we're talking about housing, that certainly is a good recipe for making things happen. Somebody, and I think, you know, Chris, you have a vested interest in jobs in downtown St. Paul. You've had a successful run at that. What does it take to get more jobs down here?
You know, we think it's a great place to employ workers. We've got a central district here that's very accessible to people living throughout the metro area. So being in a spot where people can easily get to is important. Right now we have a lot of construction going on downtown, but that's a good thing. The infrastructure improvements that are taking place in downtown right now, while a hassle immediately, are going to be good long term. We have not had a problem bringing our employees back downtown when it's safe. And there has been a perception and some reality around public safety needs. I think they're being addressed. But when we have a safe place, when we have amenities, when we have collaborative, dynamic workspaces and good options for them to dine and have fun after work, it's a terrific place. And I just don't think as many people know what a nice place to work downtown can be. That's not to say that we haven't had some challenges, because over the last 4 or 5 years, there have been some definite challenges. But the tide is shifting on that.
How much of it was people didn't want to come back to work?
I think,
and what preferred working from home, or would come down to work for 2 days a week? I mean, how much of that plays into this?
a big part of it. I mean, our state employees just came back a month ago, and we felt their absence when they were not here. The workplaces or the cafes and coffee shops, they were empty, and it was influenced a lot by our state employees. But they're coming back. Our employees have different attitudes about whether they want to be working from home or in the office. We have a nice blend of both options available to our employees, but fundamentally people see the value in coming together as a big part of how they work with one another.
Richard, what about you? I mean, you employ a lot of people here just to make this place run. Challenges getting people into town?
No, it's not. From an employee perspective, it's not the challenges, because they want to be here. Going back to those large event nights where everything is happening in the city, our workforce between the convention center, the arena, the hotel, and our other restaurants, we can blossom up to 3,000 people working. Day like today, we're probably sitting at, maybe 300, 350. So that's an important part of bringing those people back into the city in terms of working. I think the other aspect of bringing jobs to the city is the retail. We talk a lot about the houses above, but the street level retail has got to come back. We need the tailors. We need a lot of different variety. A great success story is Raw Mit, which is a Thai restaurant right around the corner. They took a shot on the corner that was the old Dunn Brothers Coffee that sat vacant for a long time after the pandemic. They are now expanding into the next space because they have so much business. Our offices are right across the street. Every time I walk across there, it's amazing how busy that is. And that's daytime for lunches, but nighttime for residents. We hear from the residents that, we go to Raw Mit twice a week.
Yeah,
we need more Raw Mits.
I think there's part of that too that plays into the walkability aspect of downtown. If I can see something that I want to go to between the collective point A to point B to point C kind of thing, then I will do that walk. And St. Paul has suffered from the loss of some of those retail sites. What's
interesting is since the pandemic, when we talk about the Mississippi, we're now the host to 3 different cruise lines that either embark or depart from here. And they usually spend 2 nights in our hotel. And the difference is, on average, you're looking at 90 to 100 guests, maybe sometimes up to 150, who want to walk. They don't have a car, They're waiting for their cruise line, and they want to walk around this area and spend money. We don't give them a lot of opportunities to spend money. So unfortunately, what we do is we do bus them to other St. Paul area activities or in the Twin Cities, but they really want to like go out at night and just walk around and buy some retail items and stuff of that sort, where we don't have yet, but I think residents will help boost that, and tourism, it all goes hand in hand.
Does anyone have some thoughts about the quickest way to get more jobs into St. Paul? Matt? What would that be?
Reinvestment.
Okay, let's talk about that.
So, we all know that, Grand Casino Arena.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm in
Habits die hard.
Yeah, Grand Casino
forgiven.
Arena, oh boy, is in need of renovation, right? And that's just true of these community assets that we call stadiums and arenas, right? That's just a fact of the matter. So we're 25 years in. The mayor and we are working hard on that, along with a lot of people at this table, as a matter of fact. But where I'm going is, the reinvestment in Grand Casino Arena will make it a better place, an easier place to move around. It'll make sure it's safer, and all the infrastructure and operational things will get fixed and all that. But also, as part of that, as part of our campus that the city owns, we want to renovate Roy Wilkins Auditorium, which was built in the 1930s and has never really been significantly improved. So if we do that, if we end up with a 6,000 seat venue there, which doesn't exist today, a seated venue, that creates 50 to 100 more events every year, which creates a lot more jobs right away. So reinvestment.
We're going to get specific about how much reinvestment, and Mayor, I know you want to weigh in on that because you certainly have a big hand in that. I just got your budget, by the way.
Congratulations. If I can add real quick to
Yeah, go ahead.
What do you think?
this tab, it's good. We'd also like if we can do another 150,000 square feet in our convention center under Kellogg or something of that sort,
In combined with all of that, that adds instant jobs. And what it does, it makes us very competitive from a square footage side with similar cities around that we're competing with business around the United States.
Tom, I want to hear from you because the St. Paul Saints have a long history of being a fun place to go and a fun place to work for people. Where do you see this going? You're sort of set
It's a small
in
business,
lower,
I mean,
small
yeah.
business, sort of in the lower town part of the city. A little harder to get to if you're going to walk from the district down to where you are.
But I did it today. It's 10 minutes up. I mean, it really is. And it's a great walk.
It's a great walk.
I mean, I had to go from 5th Street up to 6th to get across Minnesota, but that's...
You know,
We're getting there, man. We're getting there, baby. We're getting there.
kind of a mess.
No, but I think you asked a good question. What are some of the things we can do quickly? A lot of, and it's not just unique to St. Paul, it's the communications. It's telling the story. You can do all the work. But if you're not telling the story, to borrow a hockey analogy, you're not finishing your check. You've got to get out and communicate that. And I think we have fallen behind in that area in telling that story. And that's one of the things we can do, because you see the passion around the table. And there is a lot to work with in this downtown. But we got to tell people, we got to get out there and let them know this is a really great opportunity. And I don't know that we do enough of that.
That segues into visitors. Grand Casino Arena has done a good job since the pandemic of getting back to where it was when it was Xcel Energy Center before the pandemic. That is one of the bright spots. There are some projects on the horizon that would tend to bring in more visitors as well that are either underway or will be underway, but will need some investment. Mayor, let's talk about visitors into downtown St. Paul. You have lived here your whole life. You've worked here your whole life, really. What is the key to getting people to come into the city and go, oh wow, this is great? Or what has to happen to make that feeling happen?
Well, the truth is, people who come into the city already do leave kind of going, oh wow, this is great. It's one of the things that I always say is like, we're kind of a best kept secret type of city. As we talk about all of the different assets that we have around the table, I get frustrated about the number of visitors that I have who come in town and I'm taking them back to the airport and they go, hey, I liked it here. As though the story they heard about it, to your point, told them something other than that they would have a blast here. So I think that's true. And I'd also suggest that probably more so than any time in our city's history, when people are looking to decide, hey, I got this big, huge music festival I want to host, or I got this big, World Juniors Hockey Championship I want to host, or I got this smaller jazz festival I want to host, and I could pick anywhere. More so than ever, folks are choosing our city. We have, I think, the Midwest ailment of when we're excited about something and we think something has a lot of promise and potential, we end up trying to make sure nobody ever knows it. And we have to break that habit, and we have to tell the story. We have to be kind of telling folks. The other piece I'd say about the renovation of Grand Casino Arena, one of the things that excites me most, as much as we need some of the inside things that we're doing, as we look at arenas around the country, one of the best practices is not just to have amazing stuff inside. We have something, I call it a Cinderella building sometimes. It's like when the ball is going, it's all amazing, it's beautiful, and everybody's dressed up and everything is vivid. But when the clock strikes midnight and the ball closes down, it sort of ends up kind of sapping the energy. One of the things we see in arenas around the country right now is instead of that hard shell exterior, you see bars and coffee shops and pubs and spaces and pizza shops and spaces all around there, so it can be vibrant and thriving, kind of whether there's a big event happening in the bowl or not tonight. And so there's a lot of growth strategies, a lot of investment strategies. It's the reason why you had a tough time walking here, because we're building that kind of public infrastructure that we have here. One of the shocking things, I think, for all of us, is how much we find there is to work with as we work on this together.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I just want to chime in on the piece about visitors too. I think it's important for us all to remember all the progress we've made too. I think back, 20 years ago, Lower Town, there was the Kelly Depot Bar and there was the Coney Island. Like, all of those restaurants that have come online in the last 15 years or so.
People forget too, Joe.
Right.
I mean,
The
18
ballpark-
and 19, Lower Town was rocking.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
that's
really
right.
on its mark. I mean, it was
What happened?
growing. Pandemic, and I think coming out of it, our response to it was such a shock. I think, I think that shock took a while to wear off, and but it is. It's not like we know what it looks like in this town. We do know what the success looks like. It's just
Well, part of this plan said that, as I interpreted it, said that maybe one of the problems is that people are trying to recreate St. Paul the way it was, right? And I think the consensus was that that's not the solution. You have to look to the future. You have to look at what St. Paul has to become based on what we're dealing with today, post-pandemic, really, in many ways. Are there underutilized areas? Now, we have a list of projects that are underway, Central Station, things like that. Are there underutilized areas of St. Paul that could play into this plan that aren't being looked at? Anybody?
Well, I think Central Station is a critical underutilized area, and there's a huge opportunity there. We have a tentative development agreement right now with Flaherty and Collins to put a 20-story tower there. There's a lot of vision around that site and what could go there, what could span the tracks and be one of the only places in the entire metro where you can get off the train and go to your hotel, go to your apartment, go to your office. And that could totally transform the way that area looks and feels. That could truly be the Central Station. When you go to a major city and you get off at the Central Station, you're getting off at the newsstand, the police substation, the public bathroom, for goodness sakes, the place where you can buy your St. Paul merch, the place where you can buy your merch from the cruise ship, right? So I think that is a huge opportunity. And the other missed opportunity, and I know the mayor and I agree on this, and I think everyone around this table, that public infrastructure is so key, because it's the streets and the sidewalks and the trees and the lights and the benches. Those are the things that both make people want to walk around, consider working here when they come here to spot it out for the first time, and that also make people feel safe. And so if you have public infrastructure and public safety, those are the leave-behinds that, regardless, when the ball ends, for the people who live here and work here all the time and aren't just visiting, those are the things that make the quality of life so great.
Is safety a problem? Who wants to respond to that?
the perception is.
Well, that was my launching pad. Was there is a perception of safety in every city nowadays. St. Paul isn't alone there. Certainly Minneapolis carries the same reputation. There is a perceived issue among greater Minnesota that it is unsafe to travel in downtown St. Paul or downtown Minneapolis or any other downtown of any size at all. How much of that is real in the city of St. Paul? And the reason I bring that is because we are talking about, points of interest where people have to navigate. And if they don't feel safe, or if they see something that makes them feel unsafe, that is a deterrent. Is safety an issue in the city?
I think you hit on it. They see something that doesn't look safe to them. That's clean and green is the low-hanging fruit of public safety. If it looks like the store's being minded, then I feel good walking down that street. If it's dirty, if there's graffiti, if there's all, that's what the work that they're doing we are doing with the downtown improvement district is so critical. But it is how, when you come in from Woodbury, you come in from Roseville, and you come into downtown, how does it look? It's almost instantaneous. You can tell with our fans walking up. They feel great on game day. They don't have and we don't have any issues, real issues down there with public safety, with events. And I'm sure Matt would probably say the same thing. There's a lot of good folks around that are doing good things. That element just goes away. So it really is. If we start there, I really think that's for us a key. How's it look?
One thing I think maybe folks don't realize yet, we took a major step forward this year with our downtown improvement district. Our clean and safe work tripled in terms of its size and scope, so it now covers all 4 corners of downtown. Previous years, it was more of a pilot, something we were trying in a part of downtown where we proved that it works. So this year, the budget ballooned really from 1.2 million to 3.5 million. Our crew tripled from 10 or 12 to 30, almost 40 ambassadors out doing that core cleaning work, safety patrols, adding to the network of public safety that we have throughout downtown. And the results, are showing it. And I think, whether it's visually sort of passing the test, the eye test, and also it's showing up in the data as well.
Mayor, is there money in the budget for that kind of thing moving forward?
Oh, absolutely. We're working closely. I mean, before the Downtown Alliance was created, we were the largest city in the country to not have an organization like that, to not have a crew like that, and I think that's been a part of the challenge. So having that up and running is enormous. We, of course, participate very heavily with that, where that's concerned. The other piece I'll say is I think one word that's sort of looming over this conversation that we haven't said out loud yet is fentanyl. We are experiencing nationally the largest drug crisis that we've ever experienced. And we are seeing some of that shadowed in our downtown. And we're seeing spaces, and if the police chief was here, he'd tell you from a violent crime perspective, from a shots fired perspective, we're a fundamentally safe community. But those perceptions, I think, resonate because when I go downtown, I may see somebody who doesn't want my wallet. They're not after me or my wallet, but it may make me feel uncomfortable, right? And so, yes, there's money in the budget to help support that work. There's also money in the budget to help to create jobs for people who have experienced unsheltered homelessness. There's money in the budget we just proposed for a $1 million intervention around fentanyl and some of the quality of life issues that we're seeing, I think, centered, probably not exclusively, but mostly like downtown and along University Avenue as well, the St. Paul Way, which includes both kind of the interventions to help make St. Paul a space where you can get clean and get sober, and a space where we make it very clear that you're not welcome here to sell opioids or to sell any other kind of drug. And I think those investments will help boost all of this momentum that we're talking about today too.
All right, we're going to take a quick break here, but when we come back, we're going to sort of put a wrap on this. We're going to talk about the priorities, and we're going to talk about investment, okay? Because the buy-in to this plan literally means you agree with it or don't agree with it, and there is a literal buy-in that has to take place for this stuff to happen. So when we come back, we're going to discuss that part of this plan. That should get interesting.